All right, what's going on, everyone? I want to welcome you to the very first episode of Executive Insights. If we haven't met yet, my name is Brian Olds. I'm the president over at Black Speakers Network. We are a nationwide speaker development, training, and empowerment organization focused on connecting the next generation of Black professional speakers. I want to welcome you. Again, this is the inaugural kickoff of this series, and Executive Insights, as you can see down here below, is all about the intersection of technology, business leadership, and ultimately diversity. We believe that the future, I really believe that the future problems that we're facing really will be solved through a combination of those things. And so we're going to be interviewing executive leaders from across multiple industries over the course of the series. And so you'll get an opportunity to hear their unique perspective, where they are now, where they've been, and where they see the particular industry going. But we really believe that some of the toughest challenges that we face will be solved ultimately through innovation with a focus on diversity. And so if you have an interest in any of that, that's what we're here to talk about. And so in this very first episode, I'm excited to introduce my first guest, and it is a good one. We couldn't just start off something like Executive Insights and just, pull anybody off of the street. And so I really want to give a shout out to Crystal Berger, Crystal I. Berger. She is the founder and also the CEO of EBO, and she is absolutely incredible. She is the Brown Barbie of media tech. She calls herself on Instagram. She absolutely is. So special thank you to Crystal for making this connection. But just go ahead and jump into it. And I want to go ahead and introduce our very first guest for Executive Insight. My guest today, and our very first guest ever for the Executive Insight series, is Mr. David C. Williams. David is a multi-talented professional currently serving as Assistant Vice President of Automation at AT&T and is the author of the new book, Business Model: When Incredible Will Meets Professional Skill. David has walked a journey spanning from his early beginnings as a youth in South Dallas to being widely recognized by leading organizations including NSBE, as well as honored as the Legacy Award Recipient at the 2021 BEYA STEM Conference. He is an inaugural Dream in Black winner, Champion Diversity winner, and has been featured in multiple media outlets including Ebony, Fox, NBC, and more. At AT&T, he drives hundreds of millions of dollars each year in business, but manages to do all that while having fun and extending compassion to the people he serves. Please help me welcome Mr. David C. Williams. What's going on, David? Welcome to the show.
Hey, man. Thank you so much, Brian. Listen, I'm hoping we're recording it so my mom can hear this. That way she knows I'm really doing some work out in the world. So thank you for the introduction, man. That was wonderful. Thank you, brother.
Yeah, absolutely, bro. We will send it to her. You'll get the link to download, man. But yeah, you are the first guest here at Executive Insights. I really wanted to make sure that we kind of captured everything that you have going on, man, and it's almost impossible. But congratulations to so much. So many people, when we announced that you were going to be the guest here, we had people from AT&T, people in NSBE, people at BEYA, like just all people from these different arenas, just excited about the conversation, man. And so, and again, shout out to Crystal who kind of connected us together, and I'm looking forward to this, man. But first of all, I got to talk about, we're going to talk about the book in more detail, but I just really want people to know, like, if you're going to put out a book, make sure the cover, like, this is the new standard of what book covers need to be. I mean, we got the suit, that is what you do. So congratulations on this, brother.
Thank you. I'd say there's a small story behind that cover. So I took that photo on September the 11th, 2021 at 8:27 a.m. at AT&T World Headquarters. That was the exact same time 20 years prior when the first plane, had been taken over. And so hence the, hand over the heart and so forth. So there is meaning to that picture. But thank you. A lot of Photoshop, we'll say.
I was going to ask you to break it down. And one of the things that I realized just in our short time getting to know each other, David, is that everything that you do, or at least it seems to me, most things you do, there's a high level of intention behind it. We're not throwing mud up against the wall and seeing what sticks. So I really, really admire that. And speaking of intention, you're actually broadcasting. Like I'm in Baltimore. It's 4 o'clock here on the East Coast, but you're somewhere completely else in the world. So I would love for you to just kind of share, without giving your precise location, let people know where you are in the world and what you're doing right now.
Sure, sure. I am in Israel. It's 11 o'clock at night, and I'm here to do some work at a children's village in Kiryat Yearim, and it's a children's village that's kind of like an orphanage. And so myself and a few others went there to hold some solar robot workshops, and we talked to the children about STEM technology. We build the robots together. We race them. We talk about what can make them go faster. And then we give each child a robot. And often when folks are from underserved communities, they may not always have, batteries and this, and it's a lot of things that you can just take for granted. But those solar robot workshops, because they work off of those robots work off the sun, it becomes fun that is not separated from the means to do so. So
Yeah, that's so incredible. I remember entering my first robotics competition in high school, and then just there's certain people, certain opportunities that come along, and it exposes you as a child. I think it's so important. We always talk about the future of the STEM pipeline, and that doesn't just apply to the U.S., but it applies globally, to the work that you're doing now too. And it's so interesting how one piece of encouragement, one opportunity, one person, one career fit, like something being put in front of somebody, giving a child a piece of technology, showing them how to build something could spark the next, like that person could be the next, great innovator to bring about change. And so I love the fact that you're doing that. I think that it's really remarkable, and I think it's important for people to know that things like this doesn't just happen by itself, and it takes time and it takes investment. So man, that is really cool, and thanks for staying up late for us over in
yeah,
Israel to get this done.
absolutely. Elon does pretty well in Silicon Valley, but I don't think he was originally from Silicon. So
South
you never
Africa.
know. Yeah, exactly. And so, small ideas are still very bright ideas. And to be able to encourage that for other young children, it does a world for me as well. So it's reciprocal.
Good stuff. So we got a lot to go over. Hopefully we get to most of it, man. But most people like to start off in the beginning, and I'm not going to do that, because first of all, we're going to talk about this book, and your book goes back to early beginnings of your life, and there's some powerful stories in there. So I'm going to start kind of where you are and maybe work backwards a little bit.
Okay.
But we're here in Executive Insights, and so currently, you are serving as Assistant Vice President of automation at AT&T. And so for the uninitiated, we may have technical people watching, some non-technical people from different industries. Could you give us, insight, maybe short day in the life of what that actually means? And,
Sure.
give us a
Sure.
little
Absolutely.
what that role entails.
Absolutely. So, most companies have an IT department that's building big platforms and things like that. My team works in a low code, no code, or sometimes some pro code type of things, but more so we find areas of opportunity where there could be optimization. Things could work better. There may be processes that require a whole lot of elbow grease, and no matter how much elbow grease, no matter how many people you throw at that problem, it's just not enough to get it solved, or not enough to get it solved fast enough. And so therefore we build automation that'll go solve those things. And so I've been very fortunate to work with an outstanding group of folks. Some come from a technology background, Many of them do not. But I always believe if you have the will, I can teach you the skill. And so therefore, we're able to really go find out where the bodies are buried and get after some really large savings and drive a lot of goodness for the company as well as
That
for customers. Yeah.
that makes a lot of sense. And you say low code, no code. Like I think ultimately companies now, I feel like are embracing. I don't know if this role existed, 10, 15 years ago, but certainly there are a lot of automation. We deploy several here at Black Speakers Network just to increase those efficiencies and things of that nature. So I'm glad that you're focused on that. But it really makes sense to me that companies would be, trying to figure that out, to increase the customer service experience, to be able to be more competitive in the landscape, as well as, really just making life better. I mean, I remember, man, watching Disney Smart House like 20, 25 years ago. I
Yeah.
don't know if you remember that movie, but it planted a seed, man. I was like,
Yeah.
I cannot wait to have a shower that comes on by itself, food that makes itself, you run out of milk, the refrigerator orders it right away. Like, I feel like automation is we're in it now, but it is, continuously the future Internet of Things. And it looks like you're driving the front of that. So that's incredible.
Yeah, I would tell you, when I think about the difference between a traditional IT group and automation, the best analogy I could make is this. American Airlines is great for getting you from New York to Los Angeles, but they're not really good at or they're not the best option for getting your tacos delivered to you at 2 p.m.
Facts.
Right. And so there are, groups that are great for doing some long haul type of a thing, type of things. And then there are other ways to go solve for, things that are needed right now. Where are the pressure points? Where are the pain points? And let's go get after them. If you try to get American Airlines to deliver your tacos by 2 p.m., it's going to cost way too much. It's going to take way too long. You know what I mean? And so there's just different ways of getting that done.
Yeah,
That's where
because
technology is today. Yeah.
you have to deploy the right model, the right people. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me, man. So yeah, I think I want to explore your career path a little bit too, because
Sure.
I know we also probably have folks that are college up to early professionals, and even people that are trying to reevaluate their current career. Now, your path in tech with AT&T, I believe, spans over 20 years, back to 2000, back
Yeah.
when you were working in the AT&T network dispatch center, I think is what it was. And
Yes.
so we go deep, man. So as from a talent perspective, by today's standard, even 3 years with a single company is almost unheard of now, particularly within technology companies. And so I would love to just get your top of mind
Sure.
perspective on the plus and deltas of, having a career with one company, 10 years plus versus kind of the traditional landscape of, hopping from firm to firm like every 18 to 24 months.
Yeah. Look, hopping from one firm to another, first of all, there's no wrong way to go about it, right? I think the most important thing is to make sure that the value proposition on both sides of the table are working out, so that the firm that you're working for is getting the value from you that they expected, and that you are also getting the recognition and compensation that you deserve. And when one of those things are out of balance, then you have to look for, different options, right? And so for me, yeah, I've been at AT&T for a while, man. I started, very low in the company, working in the dispatch office. And I would tell you, this automation journey I've been on has been going almost from the very beginning. If you think, when you start a job, typically it takes you a while to figure out how to do that job, and you're focused and you're getting it done. And then at some point, you're able to do that job almost on autopilot with one hand. Well, for me, every time I would work in a different group like that, I would learn the job. And then once I could put it on autopilot and just do it with one hand, I'd use the other hand or the rest of my capacity to go figure out how to automate it and make it better. And so I would automate things for myself, and then I would share that with the whole team or the whole department. And now the whole department is number one, and I had to go on to something else, right? And so that happened in the dispatch group where, we had like 60 pages of tickets. I figured out how to automate some stuff. We were down to 1 page of tickets. I moved to consumer broadband. Started doing training and wrote, I built simulators to do IP config, subnetting, and Yahoo products. I left there and went to the data center. And in the data center, the most important thing is how you audit power, because you're going to sell quite a bit of it. And I figured out how to automate the entire data center power auditing over, 160,000. About 160,000 circuits in like 15 minutes. We became one of the most accurately audited data centers in the world. And so in that role, working in the data center, is where the hiring manager asked me some crazy questions. And that's where the subtitle of that book comes from, which is, that one guy was asking me all these technical questions. What's the distance limitation of Cat5 Ethernet? What's the spanning tree? Blah, blah, blah. The other guy was like, what's 3 reasons a manhole is round? If you could be a superhero, who would you be and why? Tell me how you project manage building a peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Please think out loud. And so on that second question about the superhero, he asked me, all right, who would you be if you're a superhero? Who would you be and why? And I said, my mind went back to a childhood cartoon, and it was the Justice League. And they didn't want to let Batman in the Justice League because he didn't have any superhuman powers until, like, I don't know, some monster went to go take him away, and Batman figured out how to, solve the problem. And so long story short, I told that in the interview in a split second, I kind of just came up and said, look, I beat Batman. He said, why? I said, because I believe if you don't have the skill, if you have the will, you can always develop the skill.
Listen.
So thankfully I got the job and I was able to automate, a lot of the power auditing. Life went good from there. And so in every role, last point is this: in every role, there's a golden thread that I believe in as a key to individual success, is that to proactively go find something broken and fix it. If you're proactive, you have initiative. If you go, that's action. If you can find something broken, that's vision. If you can fix it, you're going to have to work with other people to get it done. That's interpersonal skills. You document it. That's everything we want in extraordinary leadership model.
Listen, I actually want to pull on that golden thread for a moment, because that's exactly what I was thinking. I would assume that, even going back to the data center, these stretch projects that you found, you were looking around and noticing things that are inefficient, that were broken, and crafting up solutions. And this was probably not in your job description at the time.
Correct.
Probably wasn't compensated for it directly. And nobody probably came to you directly and said, hey, David, can you fix this? And so
right.
What is I feel like there's an entrepreneurial spirit even within an organization that's kind of present for you to do that. And so was that your mindset though? Was that like, hey, I'm going to, kind of take this initiative? And like, where did that come from for you?
There's probably 2 sides of that coin. When I think about folks that are leaders in business, I think about a guy named Randall Stevenson, who was the chairman of AT&T, John Donovan, John Stankey, Ralph De La Vega. These are, leaders, very highest, level of the upper echelon. I would hear about how they would work on something and go solve this huge problem that no one asked them to do. Randall was our CFO at one time, and he figured out how to reduce $30 billion worth of debt. Stanky was doing fiber and coax combinations before it was even cool. Donovan created, he created a strategy for AT&T, a 6-year strategy that put us on a video-centric path because the internet was just exploding. Ralph De La Vega, he could sell an iPhone even though Verizon was throwing all these crazy commercials at us. We were just #1 every quarter. And those guys were doing the most amazing things. And so I looked at that And I began to really kind of find a golden thread. And the one that worked for me was I looked at my own situation. And I come from a very, the poorest corner of Dallas, Texas, unequivocally. And there's a mantra that people would say, which is to make a dollar out of 15 cents. Well, that's a 600% ROI. That's a transferable skill. But often those who come from those circumstances leave that transferable skill in the car and then they go in the office. I believe to take that with me. And when I go to work, I rely on that dollar out of 15 cents mentality. You know, that's just kind of how I think about it.
That's incredible. Really honoring, where you came from and thinking about like some of those very lessons. I think a lot of us have that. A lot of us have that within us, just as a product of how we were raised, things our parents taught us, or just coming through the environments that we did, and then always don't think about that as transferable skills, as it were, in the spaces that we find us in. But they are, they're imbued within you. So that's incredible. So we're talking a little bit about business and leadership and your journey, and then going to the diversity side. You and I were having a conversation a few weeks ago, and you mentioned this idea to me around, or this principle that you have, that the glass ceiling is often tinted. Now, I know one of the things you mentioned before is, I was getting deep dive in a lot of your videos, and you had this quote. You said, I dream that our women won't be able to hear their own voice because our men are advocating for them so loudly from the C-suite and beyond. That's a David C.
Yeah.
Wood quote, which I love. So maybe break down. I
Sure.
love to spend a few minutes talking about this concept of. I think all of us have heard of the glass ceiling, but when you say the glass ceiling is often tinted, break down for us what that
Yeah.
means and how it relates to what you've been seeing in your work.
Yeah. So, look, right now I'm so proud of the fact that in our culture we are really awakening. It's almost a renaissance era to see so many people doing so many things that so many for so long, so many never even dreamed was possible, right? There are so many of our Black women that are, cracking the ceiling, exploding it, just going through the roof, doing the most amazing things. Judges and executives, and just in every industry, entrepreneurialism, technology, just in every way. But we still have some ways to go. And, I've had conversations with folks that I mentor, and, what has been expressed in a discussion, in several discussions, is that however tough the road has been for me or any sponsor, we cannot put that same level of expectation on the next wave of leaders, regardless of their age, regardless of their gender, regardless of their socioeconomic class, regardless of any of those things, right? We have to be willing. If Brian J. Olds creates the number one, or is the first Black person with the number one podcast on LinkedIn, then what's most important, that's great. But what's most important is that Brian J. Olds pulls 10 more people to that same level or beyond, right? Maybe number one on Instagram or Apple or whatever, right? And beyond. And so we have to be intentional about making sure we do that. Because if I'm mentoring, young leaders or whatever age leader, doesn't matter. If I'm mentoring other leaders and I'm not, I guess, and I'm not opening up the Rolodex for them
Mm-hmm.
to have access to the folks that I'm working with, or leaders at my level or beyond, or maybe I can't help you get promoted, but I do know who can. And so let me introduce you to them. I can't be afraid of my own shadow. I cannot be afraid that you are gonna usurp me, or I won't be as great because your light is shining. Those days are over. right? That mentality, that whole school days never ended, Spike Lee school days never ended, that time is over, right? We have to be a culture, a community of growing the circle, right? Me helping just my friends, my um, fraternity, my, that doesn't grow the circle. That doesn't help the entire community. And so, regardless of whether they're in Israel or South Dallas, regardless if it's a man or a woman, if I'm older than them or not, right? If I have more money, if I came from a better neighborhood than they did or not, none of those things really matter. The real question here is, what is the value proposition? Is this person ready? Are they really doing the things? They're firing on all cylinders. They're coming to the mentoring circle. They're reading the books that I'm prescribing to them. They're doing the things in their job. They're getting the EBITDA. They're getting the value. They're doing all. If they're working that hard, then surely let me try to help you move further. Because if I'm not, then I'm just building my own entourage.
And I think organizations, to that point, if you're going to really be successful in doing that, it can't just be, the individual mindset of, leaders here and there. It almost has to be something that's imbued into the culture that is then supported, because, some companies, if they're just concerned about, by any means necessary, get the job done, cut here, do this, do that. I think people would be less inclined to make the road easy. It almost kind of fosters a spirit of competition, even for people that should not be in competition with. You're looking at that new
Right.
talent coming in that's, sharp, that's excited, that's capable. And, instead of building them up, you're actually putting roadblocks in the way. And so I think, based on what I'm hearing you say, leaders in the organization probably have a special responsibility to actually create and foster that culture that would even allow that to take place.
Yeah, I have mentors, I mean mentees, folks that I mentor. I'm grateful to mentor them. And um, they've done some amazing things. This one brother, he was featured in a commercial, right? When I saw that, I was one of the first people to congratulate him, but I called him and gave him a hearty congratulations, and then said, "What can I do to help you? I want you to take a minute right now and think about what you got going on, right? Your stock's moving up. Wonderful. What else can I do to help you? Let me reach out to you. I'm not waiting on you to reach out to me. Obviously, you're working, you're doing good things. Now you're on TV. Wonderful. What can I do to help you? I know you got a lot going on. I want you to keep it going on. And I just want to support you and pray that you can go further than me. Because if so, then again, that's part of the story. That's the real legacy. It's not that I have to. Look, if I can reach the clouds and you can reach the moon, then we all win.
Absolutely. Man, look, I think that, David, one of the things that is the conversation we're having here is really one that should be explored a little bit further, only because I think that a lot of times we focus on this diversity conversation. We focus on what do we need to do to get the talent in the door? Like, how do we hire? How do we create more diversity in STEM? How do we get um, bit more representation of women, people of color, et cetera? But there's not enough conversation around. And when I say conversation, I mean, strategies and action behind what does that experience look like once you're actually there? Fast
Right,
forward 12 to 18 months. Am I Are people reaching back? Is there a path? Is there sponsorship? Is there advocacy? Or is there just kind of, oh, well, you got here. So now the box is checked. Let's just move on. So it's really refreshing to hear you thinking about that. And again, you're a technical leader. Like, you're not a chief diversity officer, but the idea that you, in the role that you sit, take responsibility for cultivating that is
sure,
incredible. So I
sure.
that's a big
You
on that.
when I think about the success of my team, we lead the largest robotics process automation program worldwide. Um, we have an exponential, several thousands percent ROI of what we deliver. Um, when I think about that, a while back, I promoted a number of Black women, Black men, Hispanic men and women, Asian, LGBTQ, folks living with disabilities, a number, right? Everyone did not have a traditional technology background, but because we put a problem on the table and everyone has a voice, we come up with the most amazing solutions. And so I believe wholeheartedly that culture trumps strategy, period. And, to just add one more thing to that, um, Mark Zuckerberg's mentor is Bill Gates. Bill
Mm,
Gates' mentor is Warren Buffett.
mm.
Do you think Warren Buffett feels um, less than or anything because Bill Gates was the richest man in the world for a decade? Do you think Bill Gates, arguably one of the fathers of the internet or computers, do you think he feels slighted because Mark Zuckerberg has Facebook and Snapchat and Instagram and WhatsApp and the metaverse? No, that's how Warren and Bill live on, right? Their contributions just never die, right? They just continue to flourish and bloom. And so we have to think of it in the same way. There's, the pipeline is full. There's a big pipeline. We just got to make sure there's not a clog in it.
And listen, and one of the ways I think you're extending your legacy is through this book behind me. I'm gonna actually pull it back up. Business model. First of all, I wanna say a couple things about this, but this is your first book, man, and I mentioned to you this before we got on, but I just want to echo it here in a public forum. This book, I cannot express how just excited and how much appreciation I have for writing something that's so real, so vulnerable, but also so digestible. I mean, literally, and I told you before, just transparently, like I'm not a natural reader. Like I will watch hours of YouTube video. I will listen to an ebook, from driving from Baltimore to DC. But man, this book is is incredible and is dripping with wisdom. And so, business model, when incredible will meets professional skill. You gave us the background of where the subtitle came from. I'll throw the link up just in case people are interested in checking it out. But man, I would love to know kind of what this, if you can encapsulate a little bit of what it took to get this book out and who it was written for, because this is something like I wish I kind of had at the beginning of my professional journey, particularly written by another Black man. For me, isn't particularly powerful, but congratulations on this. I would just love to have you tell us a little bit about how it came to be, and I think this is going to be a staple in a lot of people's library as they go on this similar journey.
Sure. So, well, thank you for that. Those kind words, brother. So business model, the title itself um, is a bit of a double entendre. It represents that combining your past experiences with your professional passion creates your own unique business model for success. And I don't care where you come from, inner city or suburbia, it doesn't matter, you know, rural America or metropolitan, it doesn't matter. Everyone's experiences are unique, right?
Mhm.
And combine, being able to reconcile with whatever, things you or whoever has had to overcome, those become a competitive advantage in our own journey. And the book tries to expose those things and share things that I went through and how I overcame things, or what I've learned from experiences I've been through, and then how all of that came together to help me, and a group of people that I name as well, to help me come up with a solution to solve a big issue when the pandemic hit the United States and allow people to, tens of thousands of people to work from home. And ultimately won that BEYA Legacy Award. So That's the book. I guess one bookend on the other side of it is it starts off with the suicide of my father, and so I'm not shy about talking about that topic, right? I reconcile with all of that, him not being in my life, and the tragedy of a suicide and all those things that come from it. And at the time, my mother took us to counseling, which was amazing. But I would also say, today it's acceptable to have a conversation about mental health, where at that time it was not, especially in our community. And so, again, I believe that often things that it seems like it's meant for our destruction actually are meant for our construction.
Mhm. Absolutely. Yeah. Reading that chapter for me, and it's impossible not to kind of put myself in that scene. And I think, you just write in a very evocative way. And again, not wasting a whole bunch of words, but, just doing a really good job of painting a picture of, the experiences that shaped you into who you are today. But then on the back end of that, there are all these incredible nuggets of wisdom, many of which, you're sharing here that can provide, roadmap to people who are, on it, wherever you are on your journey, to trying to figure it out as well. So, man, I don't understate what it takes to, write something like this. Like, this would probably be my book number like 10 before I got that vulnerable. And you were just like, nope, we're going to put it out here. So it is much appreciated. I'll actually want to share, if you don't mind.
Sure.
You put out a book trailer that I thought was really, really good. And I think they really did a good job of encapsulating that. It is like 3 minutes, but I think it's worth, people seeing. So I would love to share that if that works with you, man. And then we could kind of close out the conversation.
To make it to the top, it's not high in the air. It's deep in your heart. You gotta find it somewhere. Anomaly. Remainder. Reindeer games are the same things they did to the young and but humble beginning. Some doubt would be CEO in the ending. Or the Asian star who breaks the internet unconscious biases and drop kick jaws. Anomaly. You better ask some damn body. Only the boy can go what they said in Havana. The boy said, Goyo, voyo, ver mañana. Mama, when you move a mountain the size of stage 4, he wants your courtside floor. Truth can't be ignored. Anomalies know no fear. Goats with no ghosts live like red-nosed reindeer. We finna find that foggy night and change Christmas for life. Doubting who we kin to, who put that in you? Who haters pretend to be and who they tend to see. No, there's no rested in me. Not even the day they lay me down. Parade rest at ease. Cause like Elijah and Elisha, wise counsel and mentor show proteges areas to improve on the next level. Anything less is entourage building endeavors. Hear me, anomalies. You are the new nominees, and everybody won't like it. Eye of the tiger clearly see the web of the spider and the leopard behind it. I got a shepherd beside me and no weapon can bind me. Now the lessons inside me flow from blessings to pilot. I'm not special, what they said to me. Priceless, resurrected, inclining, extraterrestrial mileage is a wave of anomalies with the exception of knowledge that's been tested through homage. Stay professional drama with enough intellectual property to readdress our mamas. Got shots? Take them with you. Our career's not a game of rock, paper, scissors. Which shoes you gotta wear to have no regrets? Standing in line at Neiman Mark with a front row seat to what looked like next. Man, all we had was a small start. So some of us went high tech, even though all of us all hard. Do a transformer my V, optimistic prime, all spark. It's like God sent Jordan to the NBA to remind me of David in Psalms 23. 2,300% ROI, bro. Bad boys and giants who they seeing for me. But the shepherd won't let you feed his sheep the line. You read the Bible, Brett? Ezekiel 25, and now you can't keep them quiet. Lord, see me trying, not being defined, but in a league of tyrants. Luck says you are the sleeping giant. The highest gift is to inspire. So if you light one in me, shouldn't I breathe fire? The more I the ROI gets higher. 2 patents, no, 9's 3, 2 through. You know who, the other one, you'll see. 4s or 5s if you round up. Went through suicide at 8, baby Chris Page. Hardback, digital. Audio versions, another first, the add-on video purchase. Show horse, not a workhorse. Is what they told C-Suite about me. Greatest making the impossible look easy. You should buy better seats, better chance to probably see corporate athletes and business professionals scoring 70% EBITDA down to 4 or 5 decimal places. My math, simple. Starts with an X, ends with a potential. 1 and 1 exponential. My truth? Daniel in the den. Real life took the long way, people's champion. Stand and defend any friend I call friend, cause as kids they taught us that after you live through the sorrow, you'll know what you're here for, and that story heals the hollow. In other words, your past experiences combined with your passion is your business model. Purchase your copies today. We're already headed to your state signing posters and copies. God gave us the faith. We won't let anything's top us. Anomalies, it is good. God's got us.
Listen. All right. So, first of all, my man said our career is not a game of rock, paper, scissors. I just want to, I have never seen a book trailer like that. Now, kudos on that. Kudos on the book. I've watched that a couple of times. I still haven't caught like everything, but I see this. And this is kind of the point I want to end on, you know, as we kind of round out the conversation. You have this concept of business model. You're saying, okay, everybody has this ability to create their own path, their own lane, and you're creating a business model that's going to work for you. And what works for David C. Williams may not work exactly like Brian J. Olds, but you could pull in these principles and carve out something. With you, man, I see this organic, this technical curiosity that has allowed you to create this incredible career at AT&T, but it doesn't stop there. It's philanthropy. But all of that has not, you didn't have to sacrifice this organic fusion, this passion of hip hop. You know, I heard a wrestling reference, Transformers, all these different things, man. You're still authentically you. And so any words on that are appreciated. This idea of being authentically you while building your business model the way you've done, man. I would love to get the last word on that.
Sure. So, you know, I think about the folks I work with today, and I have people who come from all sorts of backgrounds, right? I was just, you know, going through a number of different ethnicities and so forth, and affinity groups. And then on top of that, they come from, you know, different experiences and professional, you know, paths and so forth. One of the tenets of our group, I mean, I could go through a bunch of them, you know, teamwork makes the dream work. If you're doing it alone, you're doing it wrong. Culture trumps strategy. 1 and 1 makes 11. You just got to put them close enough together. We have a ton of those things, right, that we go through. But there's one thing that that we have central to our group is this. If you are coming to work and you want to bring your full self to work, you are officially approved for vacation. Take the day off. Because on my team, in this organization, the problems that we're facing are so large, they're so serious, so much is on the line that we need your super self to come to work. And so Superman, Wonder Woman, Black Panther, whatever, you know, superhero you connect to, they're not going to get excited about getting the cat out of the tree too many times, right? They need something, you know, Iron Man needs the world to be falling apart for him to get up off the couch and go do his thing, right? And so my job is going to go find those opportunities that inspire this group of champions, this group of superheroes to go do their thing. And everyone on my team has a nickname. There's a Burn Rubber Reaver, there's a Mamba, there's a Sir Blackberry, you know, I'm Optimistic Prime. You know, everyone has, and we refer to it that way. Like when we call each other up, hey, Neo, I need some help, you know, et cetera, et cetera. And so I wholeheartedly believe that absolutely everyone has that. Even when you bring your full self to work, there's a little bit that you don't show, that you don't bring. That extra part is what I need. And so even when I'm interviewing folks, I want to know, what are you into? Are you into gaming, knitting, animals? What is it that makes you tick, right? Because that is that's what lights the fire in you. I don't want to light a fire under you. I want to light a fire in you, so you're inspired to go do that superhuman great thing that the company, the customers, the community needs. And so that's why I try to lay it all on the line, man. Whatever it is that I can, do, I try to go as far as I can to help as many as I can and drive as big of an impact as I can.
Well said, man. Well said. Well, look, I can't think of a better way to kick off this series, Executive Insights. I'm going to encourage everyone watching right now. If you haven't already done so, make sure you grab the book, Business Model, available now on Amazon, businessmodelbook.com. And listen, you will not regret it. Give it as a gift, man. I can't believe we're about to go into like holiday shopping season and all sorts of craziness. Like it's been real. But books are really, really great gifts. Go ahead, dude.
Yeah, so you look, and one other little point on that, you talk about holiday season coming up. So in the first chapter or the intro of the book, it talks about, all Rudolph needed was one foggy night and Christmas would never be the same. Right? We've heard the Rudolph story a zillion times, but I don't know if, that might be a slightly different perspective to think about it, a different vantage point. Many of us have had to go through our foggy nights.
Mm-hmm.
The question is, are we willing to go skywalk? Right. And so to that point, since you have the book up and, in sales, it's always be closing, we even got merchandise that has the Rudolph tech-enabled shirts, actually, with the Rudolph.
Yeah. Man, that is incredible. By the way, I love that metaphor, and also the DMX rendition was my favorite of those three. So appreciate you for sliding that in.
Hey man, all three. Yeah, look, if you haven't heard DMX sing Rudolph the Reindeer, you need to. Whether you're a fan of DMX or not, you'll learn something new. Like, wow, and the Temptations version, and the original version. So
it's a staple in the Olds household. That's how we officially, Starbucks puts out their red cup. We've turned on DMX, Rudolph the Red-Nosed. That's just how it is. David C. Williams, man, thank you so much for joining us from Israel. Like, this is a very special moment for me, man. I appreciate you. Thank you for the incredible work that you're doing, the leadership, the just selfless pouring of yourself out into the world, and making that path a little bit easier for the next generation, man, which I consider myself a part of. So I appreciate the work that you're doing, and I'm looking forward to staying in touch with this journey and continuing to move forward, my brother. So be safe on the travels over there, and looking forward to continuing to learn from you.
Thank you.